Hey everybody, it's Charlie at Charlie's Flybox, and I am joined here today by our good friend Max Beauchene, and we're going to talk about the Arkansas River. It's one of our favorite rivers to fish in the springtime, really all summer long, but particularly in the springtime. I've been floating down there with my good friend Larry Fredericks for about 15 or 16 years now, and it's a pretty standard springtime float for me and my wife, and we always have a good time down there. That's a spot that kind of starts up a little bit early. It's got fantastic beta hatches. Everybody talks about the caddis hatch, which is coming up, but fantastic beta blooming olive hatches in the early springs. You can have some great streamer fishing. In a lot of cases, in the case of us fishing this last weekend, a lot of dry dropper fishing, but huge numbers of fish. Like, I don't even want to tell you how many numbers of fish because it'd be ridiculous. I'd sound like Phil Iwani, and I'm not going to make it quite that bad, but it was about that bad. But really a spot that, a few hours from Denver, lots of wade access on that river. And if you can hire a guide and get a float trip down there, I guarantee that'll be money well spent. That's, like I say, that's something we do every year, go down a couple days, 3 days, and it's some of the best fishing I have all year. Good company and, beautiful area. My dad grew up in Canyon City, so that's always been an area that has sort of been near and dear to me. And the fishing always holds up. We've had, over the years, we've had, terrible rainy, snowy weather, all the way to, bright sunny skies and getting sunburned the whole day. You can't wait to get your sun shirt off at the end of the day because it's so hot out, but then other days you've got every layer of clothing you own. So variable conditions, but pretty consistently very good fishing. Like I said, we floated on Saturday and Sunday, and we floated from Texas Creek to Trading Post on Sunday, and Rincon to Valley Bridge on Saturday. On Saturday, the upper end, we caught a pile of fish, huge numbers of fish, and all pretty good sized fish, but nothing giant. I think I caught one really nice big rainbow up there. My wife absolutely wrecked him. Lisa just tore him up. We fished dry dropper, and I fished a Charlie Boy Hopper. I fished a Fat Angie on top. The top fly didn't seem to make a huge difference because we only caught one fish on that over the course of those 2 days. But on the dropper, we did figure out inadvertently, I had tied a little silver beaded jig onto my wife's rig, and she at some point ended up 12 or more fish ahead of me. You could ask her, she'd tell you the exact precise number of how many fish ahead she was, until I finally figured out maybe I should try a silver beaded jig as well. So that is sort of my fishing report of what worked down there. It didn't seem to make a huge difference what fly it was as long as it had a silver bead. And I'm not saying that the gold bead flies didn't work. I fished a 2-bit hooker. I caught fish on that. I fished a variety of different like Perdigon style flies with gold beads or copper beads, and I did catch fish on them. But the silver beaded stuff worked markedly better. A check bomb, a Spanish Perdigon, little gray one with the red neck on it, that worked really well. What else worked? Lance Egan's Silver Bullet Betas. As much as I hate to say that, gosh, Lance, that fly does work. I don't know who tied that for you, but it was a good one. What else? Duracell worked really well. You can kind of see the overwhelming theme there was silver beads, and it didn't seem to make a huge difference what size. We fished 14s, 16s, and 18s, just kind of filtering through what silver beaded flies I had in my box, and they ate all of them. Fish are in, all the spots you would think they'd be in. Any kind of deep slaughter, if you've got kind of a wide, shallow run, you can really, pile up a bunch of fish there. The fish are hungry. They're eating. There's bug activity all day. Didn't seem to be a better part of the day. It seemed pretty consistent throughout the day. Didn't see much for dry fly action. Fish rise here and there. It's hard to get good dry fly fishing out of the boat until the caddis come along. But the little pods of fish that you find along the banks, you just pass too fast in the boat. You can't. A lot of the water down there is private, so you can't stop or anchor. So you're just kind of doing what you can do, as you go by. And the dry dropper rig seems to be the more consistent rig out of the bunch. I did throw a streamer. It was bright and sunny both days. I did throw a streamer at the end of the second day, and I threw a yellow swim coach for a while. Moved a couple fish on that. Nothing really committed to it. And then I threw a big black articulated streamer and got a couple fish that ate that pretty hard, but I didn't hook either of those, so that doesn't even count. And honestly, by that point, I had caught enough fish. So that was kind of the story of our float fishing trip. Nice sunny weather, beautiful day. Today it's raining here. I don't know what the weather's doing down there, but I imagine it's pretty beta-y. I think James is down there today, and it sounds like the wind was blowing.
Yep.
So, a dry dropper might have been a good bet there, too. Wade fishing, I would certainly go and do exactly what Max is about to tell you about, because he was there last Monday and Tuesday, wade fishing, and had a similar but very different experience, and I'll let him tell you about that.
So yeah, I was down there last Monday and Tuesday. I was also fishing in Bighorn Canyon. So the first day I fished mostly downstream of Cotopaxi. I think I poked my nose up a little higher later in the day. And then the second day I was down there, I fished from kind of more Rincon area. Above Cotopaxi, more near Salida. I definitely had. I think my second day was more similar to the days that you guys had on the weekends. But the first day that I was down there, I did get a good Baetis hatch in the afternoon. In the morning I started out just prospecting. I have not been fishing the Arkansas for 15 or 16 years, so I feel like I'm still, always trying new stuff and seeing what'll work and trying to figure stuff out as I go down there. So I also fished a hopper dropper. I fished a bit of a larger nymph. I did not have the silver bead epiphany, unfortunately. I am not Charlie Craven. I am just Max Beauchene. But I did pick off a decent amount of fish on a size 14 jig nymph. I think I was fishing something red. 2-bit hooker would have worked. But I knew I was going to get a storm on that first day, so I got down there a little later. I knew the afternoon was going to be my money time, so storm rolled in, pressure dropped, classic Baetis stuff. And I found, like I said, from the walk weight perspective, it's so much easier to target those dry fly fish that are up shallow, and I think Bighorn Canyon, especially the lower section, sets up so well to just walk that road and just be looking down, find a target, move down on the target, pick it off with them. I think, I fished size 18 mole flies and size 18 loop wing emergers. That was pretty much all that I fished the entire time that afternoon. There was about an hour of that hatch where I could have done no wrong, where I was just kind of in a big flat, and honestly, I didn't even move that much. I was just kind of more line out or less line out, targeting different fish as they came up. But I think, again, from a walk weight perspective, the best way to do the dry fly thing down there is finding those areas where you can be up high, looking down, finding individual fish. I always find, I think on all of our rivers, but especially down there, those more quality fish are always the shallowest and generally spun around in an eddy if they can be. Yep. So a lot of times walking up on the bank, you'll still catch tons of fish doing that, but a lot of those bigger 15, 16-inch browns are going to be facing at you if you're walking upstream. At least that's what I find. So being up high and being able to find those fish where they're looking back at least helps me find better quality fish.
Well, and I think that's up. The advantage of wade fishing is that you can kind of change that angle wherever you need to.
Yep.
Which you're not always able to do out of the boat. You got kind of one shot, and you don't have a chance to adjust.
100%.
So, a little bit more techie, and I think in a lot of cases a lot more interesting wade fishing. Just being able to kind of change through flies and change different rigs, try different angles. Where the honestly, the float fishing was just a meat hunt. It got pretty ridiculous. There's an awful lot of fish in that river.
The second thing that I'll say about from my second day, and I think that this is so key, what you said, being able to just change up, try different techniques, being open to stuff. That second day, totally different conditions, but the fish were in the same spots, almost as if they're expecting the dry fly thing, but then the dry fly thing doesn't happen. So I got a couple to rise, but I fished size 16 parachute Adams to size 16 Quasimodo pheasant tail, and really just same strategy, different rig. Staying up high, trying to pick your shots on this. Very rarely am I blind fishing that stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that sort of fishing is so much fun in the riffles, being able to kind of step back, open up your cast a little bit, pick off a shadow that's moving.
That's what we just talked about in that Baetis video too. The fish are there. They know the hatch is coming. The hatch is coming whether the bugs stay on the surface long enough for the fish to eat them or not. The bugs hatch.
Yep.
So those nymphs are active underneath on any given day. Even on a sunny day, they'll still be active.
Yep.
So you can always catch them on nymphs. It's whether the bugs are on the water long enough for them to get on them on the surface is a little bit different story. That's an overcast day like today would be minus the wind, would be a great day for something like that. But it'd also be a great day for nymph fishing, too.
100%.
Yep.
And something, I mean, I took some videos of me flipping rocks when I was down there. I sent them to the group chat, but there's so many big bugs moving in that system right now that I think more so than on the tailwaters, you find those fish that are up shallow, especially when they're not locked in on a dry fly hatch. There's so much more opportunistic.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing I have found on the Ark over the years. That it's always different flies. We fish about the same time of year. Usually around tax day. And the flies do vary year to year. That little perdigon stuff always seems to work, but sometimes it's golden stones. Sometimes it's a caddis larva or caddis pupa. If you get a warmer year where the water starts to warm up a little bit earlier, but there's big green drake nymphs in there. Yeah. There's a ton of different bugs. I've had really good sunken beta spinner fishing down there. Just a wide variety of, it's not like on the Platte where they're only eating beta nymphs. You could fish the same run with a golden stonefly and a tiny little beta nymph and catch fish on both of them pretty consistently. Yeah. And like I say, that's, fishing our dry dropper rigs. I was fishing 2 droppers and I'd have a 14 on the top and maybe a 16 or 18 on the bottom. And those, you'd lose flies and you change them out just kind of randomly. Really, I was just kind of keying off the silver bead. It didn't seem to make a huge difference what you had on. They ate all the sizes that we fished. Yeah. I don't think we had a fly that didn't work all day. Yeah. Just the fish are on a chew, and that's pretty typical springtime fishing. Yeah. Those fish, are in winter lies up till just about this time of year, and they kind of start to spread out and start to put on the feed bag, and
they're seeing new food for the first time.
Absolutely, absolutely. They haven't. While there's a ton of betas, they're just trying to eat. Anything that comes by them. And the flow's been fairly low down there. Little chunk up here and there.
I think it was like 250 miles.
Yeah, I think that's right. So not a ton of water coming through there. A little bit of color from the ditch, which seemed to clear through the day, just a plug that came through the river, but not anything that muddied it up by any stretch.
I'd add too that I streamer fish and I did not move anything, or at least I couldn't see anything from the bank move anything. But I put an hour on it each day, and I've yet to hear a good streamer report from down there.
I've had very good streamer fishing down on the Ark in the springtime.
I just mean this year.
An overcast day like this, would be the way to do it. I've literally had where you don't want to catch anymore. You don't want to cast that damn thing anymore. So it can be very good just with the right conditions. Bright and sunny is not typically it. We had a good trip. It was fun. It's always fun. Larry's been guiding. Larry is 76 years old. I've known Larry for like I say, almost 20 years now. And I always thought Larry was 50 because when I first started fishing with him, he was 55 or something like that, or whatever it was. And then it's occurred to me that I'm 50 plus years old. Jesus. So Larry has also gotten older. And I'll tell you, if you ever are looking for a fight, don't pick one with Larry because he'll whip your ass. He's everybody down there's hero. He is a super cool guy. If you ever get a chance to talk with him, probably won't get a fish with him because he's booked all the time. But if you ever get a chance to talk with him, the guy knows the ins and outs. He used to guide the Grand Canyon. Just one of the coolest guys I've ever fished with. I've always have a good time with him, and I hope I keep getting to do that for a long time because you always learn something. We always have a good talk. We have a great lunch. And he's become a good friend over the years. So he's out of Ark Anglers, and that's a great shop down there too. That always takes good care of us. So shout out to those guys as well.
Yep. Looking forward because we said we are going to talk about it. Give us your caddis prognosis for the rest of the spring.
The caddis shouldn't be far off. On the Ark, the water's got to get 52 degrees, 54 degrees, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is. And up until this little cold snap, it was heading up the right direction. Probably the end of the month, I would think. And that can be some great fishing. Actually, that's the good dry fly fishing that I typically have out of the boat in the springtime is the caddis, where the fish are kind of on it and getting going. Like I say, that should start the end of the month. Beadhead caddis pupa under a caddis dry, even kind of a big oversized caddis dry. That's been one of my secrets to fishing the caddis hatch down there. If there's 8 billion real caddis that are size, 18 dark gray, the last thing you want to do is put on your size 18 dark gray caddis and throw it out there and be 8 billion in one. So I usually fish a bigger fly, a stimulator, even a foam hopper.
Yeah.
The fish are looking up, they're looking for a bite, so something kind of oversized. And you can always hang a dropper under it. If you're catching a bunch of fish on the dry, take that damn dropper off. Dry fly fishing only comes along so often. Get it while you can. A lot of guys will fish 2 dries. I like a single, so I can just put it right where I want it. But Chuck's caddis variant has been a good one down there. Don Puterbaugh's caddis, the little foam-bodied caddis, is a great one. Lots of good caddis patterns, and like I say, a little bit bigger than you. If you look at the real bug, it's a fairly small, little dark colored bug. You can use a bigger size fly in that big mass hatch. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yep. I would add to that, just from the walkway perspective. Like, I think just having that mentality of especially in the canyon, staying up high, looking for those fish up shallow. I think that the arc. I hear a lot of guys talk about it in here. Like, oh, like, I don't want to go down there and catch 8 to 10 inch fish. Like, there's a lot of really nice fish to be had on dry flies down there if you are willing to pick your shots. And I think, like I said, from the bank, being able to walk up tall, look down. Again, most of those bigger, nicer fish are within a foot or two of the bank. You almost can't be too close to the bank, especially during caddis season when they're falling off.
Yeah. Well, and the 8 to 10 inch thing is, that's from years ago. Before the arc got cleaned up, there were a lot of small fish in the Arkansas. That is not the case now. No. I caught at least a couple fish that were over 18, maybe more than that. There's some really solid-sized rainbows in there.
I had a 17-inch brownie to parachute.
Some really solid browns. The fish size in the Arkansas is surprisingly good. Yeah. If you haven't fished it, you should go fish it. And we don't guide there. We're just telling you about our trip. We're not trying to get you to come in and book a trip. That's the real deal. That's a good spot to fish.
Yep.
And you should go do it. If you live in Colorado, you live in this beautiful state, go put it to work.
Incredible camping down there too.
Lots of really good, lots of new campgrounds that they just put up during COVID. So some really nice, clean, neat places to stay right along the river too.
I would say, that whole Arkansas River headwaters, whatever they're doing up there,
very well managed.
Very well managed.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
That's all I got.
That's about all I got. So there you go. There's our fishing report for this week.
Absolutely.
It might be a couple more weeks before we put together another one, and they probably won't coincide because I don't like to fish anywhere after Max has been there because the water's dirty. But there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.